Great to be here. I'm Chris Duffey from Adobe. I head up our strategic development for emerging solutions. And what that really means is it's all about the strategy to gain greater awareness for our newer products, also to create great use cases with our products, and then celebrate those mutual successes with our customers and our products.
Can you tell us about your role at Adobe and the board of ANA and CTA? And what is your involvement in shaping the company's strategies and vision?
It really is quite an exciting time to be in the creative industry. So much is happening. We talk a lot about the disruptive technologies coming into the world at this moment. In the past, it happened every 10 to 15 years, and we're really seeing an acceleration of that happening every couple of years now. Right now, I would say, dare I say, the D word, the disruptive technologies are coming in. We have this introduction of generative AI. We also have this introduction of immersive and metaverse-like technologies. And then thirdly, we have Web3 technologies. And what we're seeing is individually, each of those are quite exciting. But when you converge those three, a lot of opportunity is emerging. So at Adobe, we're quite excited about all of these. And really, it's amplifying the ability to create faster and more effectively than ever before, but also to really create greater emotional connections with your customers through wonderful immersive experiences.
In your own words, what does immersive mean to you, and how has your understanding of it evolved over the years?
Quite simply, not to get overly academic, quite simply, I think of immersive as simply put as this convergence, compression of the physical and digital worlds coming together. And obviously that is really ushering in this new age of creativity and ability to create greater personalized experiences going forward at scale.
How did you first become interested in immersive, and what led you to explore this field?
Yeah, looking back, I don't know if it was just one event, but I think it's probably a compilation of different events or experiences over the years. I think, we as a human species have always been intrigued by great immersive experiences, whether that be through movies, through amusement parks, or just wonderful, memorable experiences. And I think now with that convergence of the digital and physical world through these new technologies, we can now amplify that ability to create really memorable, immersive experiences. So I'm quite excited to see how the hardware, software, and distribution channels are really amplifying the ability to create these immersive experiences going forward.
Let's go back to your earliest memory of a truly captivating experience. What made it so memorable, and how can we apply those principles to design modern experiences?
Earlier today, we were talking about Nike, which was one of my brands that I really found a great affinity towards when I was growing up. I grew up in Wisconsin, and I would have a subscription to Sports Illustrated. And one week, they had a double-page spread of the new Nike Air Max, and they cropped it very artfully so you could just see that beautiful air bubble. And that really provoked a lot of thought in my mind, that they did that intentionally to then, at that time, there was no internet, so you had to go into the store. And so that really was a moment of provocation for me, that marketing and great design and technology coming together can really create kind of a memorable experience. And in that way, it got me into advertising and design and technology. So I refer to that quite often. To dig a little deeper into that story, the Nike designer who designed it went to Paris to get inspired, and he went to the museum called the Pompidou. And that design architecture of the museum had the inside architecture on the outside. And that was his moment of inspiration for the new Nike Air Max, where at that time, where they showed the inside of the shoe on the outside. And I think in many ways, that's a wonderful metaphor still to this day of how we're flipping the script in terms of the opportunity for greater business reinvention going forward. How we approached design and business models of the past no longer apply. And so I think within the education system, we're seeing the rise of new ways of reinvention to connect with customers, brands, and experiences.
In your experience, how does storytelling play a role in creating immersive experiences? And can you share an example of a time when storytelling elevated an experience?
When I first got into the business, creativity was solely defined by storytelling in the marketing sense. That quickly evolved into product design. And there again, that's where storytelling became a central part to a wonderful experience through the digital world. Shortly thereafter, the next evolution of that was experience design. Once again, we saw the power of storytelling, the ability to stitch these different moments of delight together across the customer journey. So I think throughout all of these different phases, we've seen the power of storytelling. And storytelling can take the form of many different ways. Moments of delight, moments of surprise, but also moments of adding friction. If you look at sometimes when you go to your favorite coffee store, they'll take a pause and they'll ask you for your name. And that, in this world of greater efficiency, is a moment of delight in many ways, because it's acting as a point of friction, but it's giving you a moment of delight because they get to know you. And so I think that's the power of storytelling. It can really provoke and introduce a lot of different opportunities along the customer experience.
As an author, you've written about topics like AI and creativity. How do you see the intersection of immersive technology and AI influencing the creative process?
I think it's infinite, this intersection of storytelling, technology going forward. So we're seeing the early innings of where we are currently. Artificial intelligence, specifically generative AI, is going to amplify creativity going forward. It's going to help us get to starting points faster. It's going to help take away some of those basic repeatable tasks and give us time to do higher level critical thinking, to inspire us to create new business models, to create new experiences, and so on. And so I think we're really entering in this golden age of creativity going forward. And by no means do I or Adobe think that generative AI is going to replace creativity. It is going to amplify it. It's going to accelerate and really allow us to do what we do best, and that's to innovate, to create, and to be creative.
As a speaker, what are the key messages you often share about the future of media? Perhaps your personal definition of what the metaverse is. How have these messages evolved over time?
As a speaker or presenter, quite often I love to start off with what the future may look like in the very near term. I think in this day and age, to go much further out than 1 or 2 years is near impossible at this rate of change. And so this art of the possible is quite, I think, interesting for businesses and customers to really be aware of, but to be, contemplate as well. I think the interesting point that we're in right now is we can all be the change that we want the future to be. And in many ways, I always felt a little remiss that I wasn't able to be part of the early days of the internet. And much like those days, we're at really, I think, inflection point in society where generative AI, the metaverse, immersive technologies, and Web3 are coming together. And I just encourage everyone to be the change that they want, create the future that they would want. So that's one of the big takeaways, I hope, I try to convey, that we can all really be creators and build a future for a greater tomorrow.
Could you share examples of exciting and innovative projects or collaborations that you've been involved in within the field of immersive experiences?
It really is endless. I would highlight a number I did recently in terms of the healthcare realm. Obviously, healthcare is quite important to all of our states. And so I think healthcare really is a harder use case, but in many ways a more meaningful use case for immersive. And so we're seeing over the last 5 to 10 years, it has been growing the need for more immersive experiences for the patient, for the caregiver, for the physician. And so these technologies are really helping amplify the ability for greater healthcare, whether it be to do predictive analysis on your state of health, whether it be to be a sounding board to find and define what the symptoms are, and so on. And so I think that's a really interesting use case. Obviously, currently, I'm heavily focused on creativity for the enterprise, and we're seeing a number of interesting immersive use cases where, again, we're combining that physical and digital world together across the entire customer journey experience across the brand. And so I think it's not just immersive in isolation, it's immersive stitched in within this broader tapestry of the experience that gets quite exciting.
What businesses do you think are being disrupted the most right now, and what's the next disruption? To calculate or quantify which industries are getting more disruptive than the other is pretty tough. I would offer we're all at equal levels of disruption, and I tend to try to use the word opportunity for reinvention over disruption. There still feels something a little destructive about disruption, and reinvention feels a little more constructive. And so I think that's another lens I would love to offer and leave people with is Gen AI, immersive, has this ability to reconstruct many of the ways that we've done things in the past, and it can really have additive value going forward. And I think the ultimate goal is we build a world for greater empowerment, and if we can get to a world of greater abundancy in terms of food, education, less disease in the world, it's going to be a greater world for all of us to live in. As a member of Adobe's board, how do you contribute to Adobe's long-term vision and decision-making regarding immersive technology and other innovation areas?
So at Adobe, heavily focused on what is around the corner, and currently around the corner, we're heavily focused on generative AI. I think the next wave will be some individualized LLMs, large language models, and so those models may be comprised of multiple models, but ultimately that vision looks like the ability to have very individualized experiences going forward at scale. And so the companies that will be able to leverage that opportunity will be the winners of tomorrow. I think the other one coming up very quickly is this ability to have this more immersive experience, whether it be through 3D and the ecosystem across the hardware landscape is greatly evolving. And so I think that merging of 3D immersive software with these newer hardware tools is going to be quite exciting going forward as well.
What are the most significant challenges and opportunities you see in the adoption of immersive technology, both for individuals and businesses?
Over the past year, I've gone on a bit of an awareness tour, but also a listening tour, and I think there's 5 or so themes that are consistently coming up. The first is, and these are all very heavily focused on generative AI or immersive AI. I think the first one is all about what is that ultimate vision, and how can we create that North Star architecture and reverse engineer to get there. The second one is the ability to create more responsible immersive AI experiences going forward, and that's everything from privacy to security to regulation and so on. And so I think that's another fundamental pillar to keep in mind. The third one is a big question from an organization standpoint or a business standpoint. What is the value of these technologies going to have on the business? Because there is an investment to go into these new emerging areas. And so I think there are frameworks to have a value realization framework to really quantify the success of those. The next is very straightforward in terms of the thought, but a bit more complex in the implementation, and that's really how do I implement and adopt these new immersive AI technologies. And there's a number of great, I think, metaphors that we've learned over the years that we can adhere to. The fourth would be just pure adoption and awareness of what are the services and products out there that can help get us there quicker in terms of value realization. So those are just a few of some of the themes that have been coming up over the last 12 months or so.
Adobe is known for its creative software. How does the company approach the integration of immersive technology into its product ecosystem, and what benefits does this bring to users?
I think over the last few months, there is not so much of a hard delineation between immersive and the creative software. I think they're starting to be really compressed, one in the same in many ways. The experience of creation can and should be more immersive, and the output can and should be more immersive. And so I would offer that they are becoming more one in the same going forward. I would also share that Adobe is not just a creative software company. We're truly a platform, an end-to-end platform that can allow organizations and creators to create more efficiently and effectively, distribute, measure, and optimize, and with the ultimate goal to create this flywheel round trip ability to distribute that data, create it, measure it, and then do it better and better every time, faster and faster. And so I think that's where it's going to get quite exciting really fast, where you have this ability to do that and then make it more immersive and then more individualized going forward.
Can you share some real-world examples of how Adobe is leveraging immersive technology to enhance user experiences?
We have a wonderful suite called Adobe Substance, and so Adobe Substance is really founded on the premise of helping to democratize 3D. Obviously, a number of different use cases, applications within 3D. I think e-com is going to become one of the early entry points, use cases for 3D going forward. We have a number of projects called Project Sunrise, where it's allowing to take 3D assets and really create multiple variations very quickly, which is quite exciting from an efficiency and ultimately an efficacy standpoint. And so just on a small enterprise perspective, I think that's a great example of how that is really leveling the playing field. And then from a large enterprise standpoint, it's a great example of increased scalability. Quite often we talk about this demand for more content faster than ever before, and things like that are really going to allow us to get there faster.
What advice would you give to aspiring professionals who want to make a meaningful impact in the field of immersive technology and who aim to engage with Adobe's products more effectively?
I don't know if there's a one-point answer or a solution to that, but I would maybe boil it all down to just create. Continue to create thoughtfully and mindfully, and I think a lot of the use cases and inspiration will come out of the practice of just creation. There's a lot to be said for the ability to play, and so a big advocate of learning and through building, quite honestly. And so I would offer that to this college to just continue to create and play.
Can you share a specific instance from your experience where users face difficulties adopting a new feature or technology? And what strategies or approaches did you employ to help them overcome these challenges and successfully integrate the new technology into their workflows and daily lives?
It's a wonderful question in terms of how do you create experiences and software that are more accessible that have less friction points. And over the last recent months, we've really kind of contemplated that and almost inverse that approach in terms of we no longer just think about how can we create tools or softwares or experiences that are easier to learn, but actually inverting that thought process and how can we create tools that learn to come to the user or to the customer quicker than ever before. And so I think that's a really interesting metaphor going forward, that the systems are going to help learn from us. And so we're actually training the system is not training us.